So your life is in shambles. I'm here to help with that, sort of. If you have stumbled upon this video in your home feed or similar and you click on it, congrats! That's the first step to everything. Sorting out an adult life like this on your own is hard, and I feel that because it was hard to me too, like anybody else. Everyone wants to be financially stable and happy in a society where way older generations than us burn the planet whole or increase housing prices because they want to inflate their pockets even more. And it's easy to blame an external force like capitalism or hell, fascism as a sort of scapegoat for all our problems. But what we don't realize is that most of our problems are in our own control. So in the spirit of creating something more positive and drama-free, I decided to create this handy guide on how to better control your life as an adult and sort out your life properly. This is obviously not one of those alpha male red pill guru videos that tell you that the Matrix is to blame and that you should hate women for some reason because, first of all, I'm a woman. But second of all, it's because this is just a video about my personal experiences and how I sort of my life and not panic in the process, so maybe it will probably help you understand some ways in which you can do your own work. I have no universal solution to everyone's problems. There is no bulletproof guide on how to be financially stable or happy. Everyone here is different, especially considering my autism makes me have some limitations like other people. And no, this is no excuse to sell you an expensive course. This is the best you can probably get on YouTube. And even though it's not much, it is and should be free knowledge. The very first step of sorting out one's life and be a happy person is to organize oneself and to plan what already makes one happy. This obviously takes a little bit of introspection, which is kind of complicated if you don't know what you want. So if anything, try to make it at least the effort of picking something that actually makes you happy. It could be basically anything, even a simpler thing. And it shouldn't be limited to just money, fame, or anything banal like that. I mean, you can still strive for those goals, no one's stopping you, but you also have to look at the side effects of money and fame as a whole and see if the people having them may not be the happiest people on the planet. Take a notebook or a mental note and list down the greater goals you want to achieve in order to make yourself happy. Again, just anything counts, as long as it's feasible enough. Then break down those goals into smaller mini goals, like it was the objectives within the quest of a video game. Things that are realistically are possible within your current grasp that you can do without in a much shorter term that contributes to those long-term goals. Planning ahead like this allows you to have realistic laundry list of things you can do to get closer to those goals. I personally don't rush into the greater goals of my life myself. I rather do small things that can add up one fraction of a step towards those goals. On the terms of finances, for instance, I set myself the mini goal of learning to not spend more than $8 a day on anything, whether it is cigarettes or food and drink. You can even break up those smaller goals into even smaller goals at the same time, enabling you to just have a perfect plan ahead. The only caveat, though, is the second point of all of this. You might have heard the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, it took me a while to figure out what it really means, but the basic gist of it is that you shouldn't focus on all the goals all by yourself, lest you want to burn out. Prioritize goals in a way that accounts for how realistic they are and how desirable they are. Some goals have a higher priority, the rest are just for the time being irrelevant or even a bunch of nonsense. In any case, don't stress on trying to accomplish literally everything if you don't want to be burnt out. Take breaks if needed, assess some more important goals, and focus on the ones that are the most urgent in the short term especially. Of course, you want to fix literally everything in your life. That's the ideal scenario. But it's not the most realistic one. In fact, it is overwhelming and you might want to slow down. Change starts from within, but it doesn't happen overnight. Your energy deserves to be focused on just one life goal entirely before moving on to the other ones. But most importantly, sometimes some goals are just the product of an inflated ego. So those are pretty much a lower priority, if not entirely nonsense. Social media is a great problem here, which I'll probably tackle later, but more importantly, your ego when causing problems is your Godzilla, and your prospects are Tokyo underneath. You don't want to entirely get rid of your ego though, because you still should have a sense of entitlement or to your own right or to exist as you are right now. But what I mean is that for anything else that is not a threat to your existence, like criticism or anything like that, you might want to set your ego aside for and not let easily hurt by minor inoffensive things that are meant to help you. Usually, when someone tried to help me in the middle of my emotional distress, I used to break into tears or cry because my ego demanded sympathy or pity from others instead of actual help. Of course, this is a byproduct of my depression, but it is a very toxic behavior you want to avoid. Ego usually is a natural defense against personal attacks, and it does great at that. It's like if Godzilla saved Tokyo somehow from Ghidorah or something like that. But like Godzilla with Tokyo, it often does more damage to your better prospects and self-growth in the process more than it does good. I really hate having to use the Godzilla analogy for this sort of thing, but I guess it could help better to explain this. But Godzilla is a living creature who feeds on something to become the thing it is, as big as it is. Ego very often is badly fed by the bombardment of banal content and garbage that social media produces, which creates unrealistic standards for living. From the Andrew Tate red pill dude bro manliness to the Victoria's Secret fantasy model, everything there nearly is a toxic delusion of what life is, despite the fact that it represents only the top 1% of humankind's lives. It is because of this that everyone who uses social media thinks that no matter what they say or do, they have the innate right to be noticed by the world of what they say or do. Honey, this is narcissism at work. Social media is creating a narcissism epidemic on its users. And okay, maybe just a little tiny bit of healthy narcissism might work, like a healthy dose of ego. But then if you think you deserve to be famous or rich because of your social media use, I think you should probably know how happy or famous or rich people really are. If you're still a content creator or something like that who has to use social media for something productive, do it. I'm not stopping you. But don't think you deserve fame and money out of it. That's just like playing the Russian roulette right at this point. And also, unless you exclusively use social media for that, get out of social media. Now, leave it to the pros. Social media is already as bad as it could get, and it's going to get worse. People like me have someone learn to survive there, but someone like you needs to leave social media and your constant use of the phone at least for a while. It helps if you leave your phone at home and go on a stroll out without technology in a park nearby or something. Doing stuff like this without the need of looking at your phone at all really helps you feel small. Not in the sense that you're insignificant or anything, but in the sense that you connect with other people who are on the same ground as you and the world around you. Taking a break from social media is not the only thing that can help you sort out your life or fix it. It is said that taking a break from things like personal work or hustles from time to time and to enjoy a hobby or just chill for a bit can help too. We are so conditioned deep down to think that constant work is a virtue. This is capitalism at work. You don't need to grind your hustle all the time because you'll end up burnt out eventually, like I was at some point when I lost focus on the type of content we were generating here. It's okay to take a rest sometimes when needed and take your hustles in life at your own pace, especially if you have worse mental health issues like I do with a recently diagnosed and treated depression. Just, I don't know, watch a movie or a show, read a book, build something with Legos, play a video game, chill. That's just it. When you need the most, just relax for a bit and leave your hustles for a bit and take a breather for a bit. Lastly, if all else fails, if none of this is working as intended, seek help from anyone who cares about you and you care about. Seek a therapist or even a family member or a friend for help. It is fine. Some people are incapable of doing stuff on their own, and that's fine. My therapist is usually a nice guidance in my life, but also what I usually do, because of my tendency of overspending my finances, is to give my wages to my dad so he can slowly distribute it to me throughout the month. The ideal thing is to do things on one's own, all by themselves preferably, but this is mostly not the case. I had a serious case of gambling addiction where I had to ask help from everyone to sort out. And you have to especially consider that you're in a constant learning process on how to fix your life. Someone has to help you take the baby steps before you can run a marathon or even just walk. It's just how life is. We don't learn things automatically from our brain all by ourselves. Outside people and factors do always have to teach us to learn something in life. That's just normal. So I hope and I'm glad I could help you learn to fix your life. And hey, have you heard my story on how I dealt with my gambling addiction?